All right, let's talk about something that pretty much every developer building with AI is wrestling with right now. You've got your trusty SQL database, right? The one you've used for years. But now, you've got vectors. So the big question is, can that old friend learn a new trick? Or are you really going to have to add another database to your stack just for vector search? Let's dig in.
So if you're building, I don't know, pretty much any AI app these days, you're dealing with vector embeddings. It's just a fact of life. Whether it's for semantic search, a recommendation engine, or you're building a RAG pipeline, vectors are everywhere. You can't escape them.
And that right there, that's where the headache starts. Because now you're thinking, great, I have to spin up a whole new specialized vector database. That means more infrastructure, another system to learn, more things that can break. It's a whole new world of complexity. But what if you didn't have to? What if that database you already know, the one you're already running, could handle it?
And that's where we get to this really cool trend, what people are calling the extended database. The idea isn't to rip and replace your tools. No, it's about evolving them. It's like giving your good old relational database a brand new superpower.
Now, you might be thinking this sounds like some kind of clever hack, but it's not. This is legit. There's even academic research giving it a formal name, an extended VBDMS. It's a whole category of systems designed for these awesome hybrid queries. That means you can search your regular, structured data, your users, your products, and your vector data, all at the same time, in the same query.
So how does this magic actually work? Well, if you're using Postgres, honestly, it's shockingly simple. It's literally one command: create extension vector. Boom, that's it. You're done. You have just given your Postgres database vector search capabilities.
And it just keeps getting easier. Look at this. You're just creating a table like you always do, but now you can add a vector column. It's just another data type, right next to text or integer. No big deal. Here we're setting it out for 1536 dimensions, which, is a super common size if you're using embeddings from models like OpenAI's. Okay, but this is the real kicker. You don't have to learn a whole new query language. You're doing a vector similarity search using a simple little operator right inside a standard SQL order by clause. That's it. This query right here, it's finding the top 5 most similar items. You get to use all that SQL knowledge you've built up over the years on a totally cutting-edge AI problem. How cool is that? All right, this all sounds great. It's easy, it's familiar. But here's the million-dollar question. Is this just for hobby projects, or can this approach actually hang with the big dogs, the specialized, built from the ground up vector databases? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's put them head to head. So in this corner, we've got Postgres with pgvector, the old champ, the trusted, all-purpose relational database that's learned a new move. And in the other corner, we've got Quadrant, a powerful, open-source, specialized vector database built in Rust specifically for performance. This is the classic showdown, right? The generalist versus the specialist.
And we're not pulling any punches here. The test is a monster. We're talking about searching through 50 million high-dimensional embeddings from Cohere, all running on a single server node. This isn't some toy dataset. This is a serious, production-level workload.
Okay, round 1, query latency. Basically, how fast is a single search? And we're looking at this at 99% recall, which just means we're demanding really high accuracy from the search. Now, looking at the P99 latency, that's the performance of the slowest queries, a good measure of consistency. Quadrant comes out swinging. It's almost twice as fast. No question about it, that's a solid win for the specialist.
But hold on. Latency is only one part of the story. What about throughput? How many queries can it handle at the same time? And this is where the entire narrative just completely flips on its head. Just look at these numbers. Postgres is cranking out over 470 queries per second. Quadrant, about 41. This isn't just a comeback. This is a knockout punch.
Yeah, let me just put a number on that for you. That is 11.4 times higher throughput on Postgres. And this tells you something absolutely critical. While Quadrant might be a sprinter for a single query, Postgres, with its mature, battle-tested architecture, is a marathon runner. It's an absolute powerhouse when it comes to handling lots of users at once. I mean, that's what you get from decades of development. Okay, so the performance numbers are wild. But they're not everything, right? What about the day-to-day? For you, the developer who's actually writing the code, what does it actually feel like to use these two systems?
Let's look at the SQL approach. Check out how natural this is. We're finding the 10 most similar products, but we're filtering them first. We only want ones in the electronics category. And how do we do that? with a standard where clause. It's something you already know. Combined with the new vector search, it feels totally seamless, totally integrated.
Now, over on the Qdrant side, you're using a dedicated API. And you can see the code is really clean. It's obviously purpose-built for this kind of work. The filters are passed in as this nice structured object. It's just a completely different philosophy, right? You have a streamlined vector-first API versus the all-in-one integrated power of SQL.
Okay, let's take a breath. We've seen the data. Postgres absolutely crushes throughput. Qdrant is the champ for single query latency. One is integrated into SQL, the other is a specialized API. So, after all that, which one should you choose for your project?
Well, it really boils down to what you're building. Look, if your app needs to handle a ton of users at once, so high throughput, and you're already mixing and matching vector data with regular relational data, then Postgres is, it's an incredibly strong choice, especially if you're already using it. On the other hand, if you're building a dedicated microservice that just does vector search, or you need to scale horizontally across many machines, that's where a specialist like Qdrant is really going to shine.
There's this great quote from the people who actually ran the benchmark, and it kind of sums up the whole vibe perfectly. It says, as the meme goes, Postgres is all you need. And what they're getting at is that the performance is just so competitive now that for a whole lot of use cases, sticking with the tool you already know isn't just the easy choice, it's actually a really high performance choice.
And that really leaves us with this huge, fascinating question for the future of databases, doesn't it? As AI keeps changing everything, are we heading towards a future where we have a dozen hyper-specialized databases in our stack, one for every little task? Or are the old, reliable, all-in-one powerhouses like Postgres just going to keep adapting, keep evolving, and keep proving that sometimes, just maybe, one great tool can do it all? Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for watching.